All right, let's try this thing again. So, welcome all you salt lords and corp mates that are tuning in to figure out what the heck just happened, or maybe you just need a refresher. Also, hey Diva Spies, um, you tried something in our public chat earlier. Appreciate the content. Keep it up. Um, but thank you guys for tuning in. Let's go ahead. I'll start at the very beginning because some of you may be coming back to Eve and wondering what the heck has happened since you left. So we'll start way back in World War B2 when everything started, so you can kind of get an idea of the timeline that we're looking at. So we were in Brave, tiny little Mayhem, crabbing an impasse, and then World War B2 started. We went out to deploy into Aquarius with Incredibles and somebody else. Correct me if I'm not,
PD.
if I'm wrong, Night.
PD.
Yeah, PD.
Um,
I think that was it until somebody else came out.
a couple more BNI corps, like a couple corp members from BNI came, but it was primarily us, PD, and Incredible.
Yeah.
The
So we
first
went
round,
out.
anyways.
We went out early war. Got past Imbor when Aquarius was still like frontier
Controlled fully
land.
by. It was still good, controlled by goons.
Yeah,
They
we
had
we we didn't have any like keep stars or anything. It
we had
was
a
strange
single
times.
state. We had a single station in a single Aster house in Moros.
And UTech H. Don't forget UTech H when we finally
UTAC
dropped that one.
UTAC H came later, but when
Oh,
we
that's right.
first started,
That's
it was
right.
just
It did.
Moros.
Either way, either
It
way.
took us a while to take those systems.
Yeah, it did. Regardless, we went out there, and then eventually Brave called us back. And then like a week after we had come back, Brave moved out to Aquarius. So we had to move with Brave back out to Aquarius. And then this time it was like more in force. We were actually pushing. I think we dropped keep stars, and I think 8QT was the keep star that we had dropped at this point. And we were living out of that, and we were sitting there hanging out with a bunch of people, and it was still mostly Mayhem and a few other groups, but more of Brave had moved out there at that point. And then we got the call to go back to catch. Got to defend home.
Because at that point, initiative had been starting to hit us from the UTAC Q constellation.
Yes.
Was it UTAC Q, I believe? Yeah, I think it was
UTech Q, and then they started moving in. Like
up in
I know
northern.
Simple Farmers got Brave and started hitting us. It was Dread Bomb too. Don't forget Dread Bomb.
Yep, they're bomb as well.
But
And yeah, it was
essentially, Goon
UTAC Q
Friends.
and oh shit and curse. They were coming.
Yeah, yeah. Oh shit, I remember that one. So essentially, everybody came back and tried to hit catch while we were gone. So everybody had to move back to catch. I think we were in catch for like a grand total of a week or two.
I think it was less.
Or was it
than
a month?
It was
It was
about a month.
just under a month. Okay, somewhere in that range. It's all fuzzy to me because I never moved back to catch, but I did move back to catch. Impasse was there this entire time, just kind of living. Most people had moved out of Impasse at this point because it just wasn't safe. Um, but then after just under a month, we moved all the way back into Aquarius full force. Like Brave moved into Aquarius
Yeah,
to follow
we
Test in
pretty
the war.
much abandoned everything in impasse and catch, pulled up as much as they could, and then from there took everything and moved to catch.
Yeah, not
Aquarius,
catch.
sorry.
Aquarius. Moved into Aquarius, got into T5Z, moved into Delve, pushed Goons back, lost all momentum at M2XFE, and Test pulled out early because they don't know how to finish, and essentially left Brave to get screwed. Brave pulled out as fast as we could because once Test started to remove their structures, I guess like nobody wanted cover fleets or anything. So we jumped ship and we hauled ass into Geminate. Once we got into Geminate, pretty much all of Legacy disbanded. We lost so all of Poppy disbanded, but then Legacy furthermore disbanded. Test went their way. Diva stuck around because they're salt lords and wanted to shoot us but failed. Um, we got
and Corp started kind of splitting off and going their
yeah,
own ways. Galaglos,
yeah.
Necro came
Um,
later, but they eventually left. Nulse and some of the other corps left as well.
yeah, a lot of groups started leaving Brave just because Geminate was rough space. We were only kind of friends with PanFam and Horde or PanFam and Frat at the time, but they were neutral. It was just we don't attack their structures, they don't attack ours, and we fought Tishu at the time. It was the what are Tishu? I think they like to call themselves the Nazis or whatever. I don't know. But morally ambiguous Tishu. Um, we fought them for a while. Took a whole bunch of space. Actually, I don't get me wrong. I kind of liked Jim and Adistan. It was tons of content. It was a lot of fun. But it got old pretty quick. We couldn't really do much. We had Horde just trying to dunk on us all the time. I think it was about this time Horde was like, "Brave, you're next." Ha ha, and then got dunked in Geminate, and then they just kind of shut up for a while. Um,
Legion, Pandemic Legion, I think it was.
yeah, it was Legion. So somebody,
When we were in the process of moving to Pureblind, I believe.
it was somebody was like, haha, Brave is next, and then got dunked on, and it was like, all right, shut up, go away. Um, so we moved into Pureblind, and I'm not gonna lie, Pureblind is more ass space than Geminate. And we were going to have to fight for it. Banderlogs, all respect to them. I think they're a Russian time zone, and they put up a fucking fight. They're still fighting. Like don't get me wrong, we're still in Pureblind at this moment. We're still fighting for Sov. I think we've got 10 or 12 Sov systems now. Um,
Give me a second. Let me pull it up
as
again.
Brave, Knight can check on that. But we've been fighting for it. It's been time zone tanked to no end. It's been a great fights to have, and
Nine
it's
systems.
been what was that
9 systems.
9 systems. It's been great fights, but it is just nothing but PvP. We have very little time to crab, which is what this corp has been, and was. Um,
And
we
not just
crab.
crabbing. It's not really just the crabbing. And I put crabbing in quotes because yeah, people are going to say crab. All we do is crab, but we play the game to have fun. That's the mission that we created. That's the mission we set up for ourselves when Ro and I started this corp. It was we pay $15 a month to have fun. So we're gonna do what we enjoy to have fun. If that's mining, if that's ratting, if that's PvP, if it's PvE, if it's industry, if it's market playing. That was the point of the corp.
From here on out, when I refer to just so people know, when I refer to crabbing, I refer to Brave's ideal of fun per hour. Um, when we've lived in Gemini and Pure Blind, the general fun per hour for PvP pilots has been pretty great. There's been a lot of like just PvP content constantly. There hasn't been a lot much of else. With the mining changes, and who knows, like you could just die once the mining changes come back
I believe
and screw
Alana
us all.
gave us a decent breakdown of the mining changes from before the latest patch notes, I believe.
Yes.
Before
So
on our stream. On the stream.
yeah. So I that will be posted soon. Soon TM for everybody to look at. But if you're watching this right now, after posting, check out Twitch TV dot twitch.tv/ industrial mining and Mayhem Mayem. You'll see the podcast where Alana covered all of it Thursday of last week, so a couple days ago. Should still be up. I think it's up for a week. If not, I'll post it here pretty soon. But long story short, we have been nonstop, pretty much doing PvP since the end of the war. Most recently, I think it was Horde this time dropped like 100 caps, or it was Horde plus Diva,
So we
or
were
some.
dropping. We were
Go ahead.
anchoring a Fortizar. We were anchoring a Fortizar in EL8, I believe it was,
Yeah, something like that.
which is in the middle of Banderlog space, so that we had a place to anchor, to tether up, to drop caps and anchor caps, so that we could project into the rest of the constellation. When that Fortizar came out for its final anchoring repair timer, we put caps on field, and Horde and or Test baited us into dropping more caps. And then a group in Horde by the name of Horde Vanguard dropped about 100 dreadnoughts and cost us 200 billion in cap losses.
It was rough. Um, but hold on.
Yeah, so that was a hard loss to take for a lot of people. They started seeing that all there was that was going to happen.
Was just a lot of fighting for
A lot of fighting,
very
and a lot of
slow
people were just
progress.
and a lot of people were disheartened that this is all there was ever going to be.
Yeah,
And it was about that time when I know I started getting messages. I believe Roa was getting them as well.
I
Marie,
was
you were
getting them.
probably getting them as well.
Hmm.
With people saying, "Okay, I can't play the game how I enjoy playing it anymore. So I'm either going to quit or I'm going to leave for another alliance."
And just to note, we had a vote about this actually back in Geminate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when
Um,
Pure Blind was announced, when it was
yeah, when
announced that we were
Pureblind
switching
was
to Pure Blind.
announced, we had a talk with everybody. Said, hey, what is your status with Brave? Like, do we like Brave? Do we want to stay here? Do we want to hang out for a little bit? And majority of people said, yeah, we're gonna hang out with Brave for a little bit longer. But I'd say it's like a 60-40. People wanted to stay versus no comment didn't want to stay.
Mhm.
So people were already not liking the state of Brave and whatnot. So this isn't just like a we got to Pureblind and said no, fuck this shit. Like we've stuck it out for a while. um, but yeah, like Knight said, we got to Pureblind and what we started talking about it once we really started getting DMs of people leaving or like unsubscribing. I know I was talking to a few people who are like, once with the situation and then the mining changes coming out, it's like, I don't see a reason to log in. People started playing Star Citizen, which I don't knock Star Citizen, but like Star Citizen is Bug Citizen or Bug Citizen, whatever you want to call it. But it it's a buggy game, and people were playing that over Eve of all games. Um, to tell you how bad the state of Eve is or has been at least. It was getting to the point where it was like one or two people logged into nullsec. I hate to say it like this, but the corp was kind of dying. Uh,
We were bleeding. We were bleeding
yeah,
fairly steadily.
yeah. Ro and I were doing our best to get people in, but as we were getting them in, they were leaving. People would stick around for maybe a week too. Realized they couldn't do anything, and either went to HiSec, which no knock on the HiSec group, they are doing fantastic, but that's not where the core of our activity is. Our core of activity is down in null. Um, so to stem the bleeding and to really try and figure out a solution so that way we can begin growing again and really get to a state of actual positive fun per hour. Uh,
We made the hard decision that it was best for the corp and for the long run survival of the corp that we take our departure from Brave.
So after several weeks of, I know Ro was doing it a lot. I think I had spoken to Black Rose briefly, but that was more of a Brave thing than an us thing. Um, Ro had spoken to a lot of the alliances. We had open offers from all the major alliances that I can think of.
Yeah,
Uh,
Test, Horde, Volta, Frats.
and initiative.
Those. Well, no, we dad approached initiative.
Oh, data bridge. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So in case people don't know, Roa, who is the 2IC of Mayhem, is also my dad. So him and I run the corp together. I should have prefaced that. Oh well, whatever.
Probably.
Probably, but people know. People should know. We're very open about it. Um, so Dad and I were sitting there talking, and we were looking at all the offers that the groups had given us. Test was never going to be an option. Sorry to Balder if you're watching this. But we would never have gone to Test because one, Roa and I left Test when we formed Mayhem, and the community in test wasn't exactly what we wanted for our corp.
At
Frat,
least.
well, Diva, of course, was there. I was never going. I was never going to. What's the word?
In an
Not
alternate universe, to meme on them, we would join test because then they couldn't shoot us.
Yeah. I wouldn't not inject, but what is it when you force someone into a situation?
Uh, Force somebody into a situation.
Yeah, but there was it's a singular word. I can't remember the word. I
It's
wouldn't
late.
force. Yeah, it's late. I'm not 100% feeling well. I wouldn't force that on any of the court members. The hate that they seem to have for me specifically, which I don't know why.
Well, I think it's Mayhem in general. I saw like Rafe
Mm.
Makaka was
Oh, Rafe
for
has a
you
problem.
guys, but
Rafe
like
has
that
problems, but Sandrin and
general.
Jeremy have it out for me specifically. They've
Yeah.
stated in open comms that they will see Mayhem die or me leave the game, and that is their one goal.
So yeah, that's the kind of people that we have in test.
So that's test. So we would not go to test. Horde, well, Horde is a really big alliance. Sure, we'd have plenty of crabbing space, but at the same time, we would disappear, and we wouldn't really be able to have an effect like we did in Brave, where we had an impact. We were the one of the main industry groups behind Brave. We funded a lot of the markets for strat-op ships and fleet ships. And I didn't feel that, well, yes, we could crab to the heart's content. We would have gotten lost in the numbers. We would have sat in our own little pocket, and that is it. That is all.
As somebody who used to be in Horde, yeah, you get lost in the numbers real fucking fast.
And at the same time, Horde accepts anyone with a pulse.
Oh.
So it's very easy to get spies in, to have people sitting on you, watching you constantly that you can't do anything about.
Hi, Sandra.
Case in point. Frat.
Well, we can do stuff about him, but it's funny.
Yeah.
It's
But
funny.
Frat fraternity, yes, they're currently quote unquote helping Brave. They're light blue with Brave, so they're
not shooting
allies
us.
They're not shooting us. They're letting us use the Keepstar chain and in their Keepstar and Oigenin to house the supers for Brave. But Frat is very, very soon. Somebody just needs to sneeze wrong, and Frat and Army of Mangoes are going to war again.
Yeah.
So I was not going to drag the Corp into another. We were not going to drag the Corp into another war that would likely end with another move. That left Volta, and Volta is a lot smaller than Mayhem, so I didn't want to go in there and just be like, okay, we're here, we're bigger, deal with us. And at the same time, they were very PvP centric, and they were going to very quickly probably come in direct conflict with Brave, and I didn't want to be one of those guys and one of those corps that we leave the alliance and we immediately start shooting.
Bicro.
Not so much. There was a couple guys in Bicro, but I wouldn't say
Bicro leadership just turned around and started camping us. That was like immediate.
I wouldn't say Bicro in general. There were a couple guys, but for the most part, it wasn't everyone.
Fair.
Not like Diva. It's not like Diva, how bitter Diva is.
Diva deployed just to shoot us, and then they started dying to rats. Like
Bicro hasn't, is what I'm trying to say. Like, while they were there in Horde, while we were there in Horde space, they camped us a couple times. They dropped on us a few times.
Camped us. They've come to Pure Blind.
They've come to Pure Blind a few times, but they're not like actively deployed as
Diva is. Yeah, fair enough.
Is.
Fair enough. My mistake.
So they're like, I have nothing against Bicro. They Rush, Zeke and I, we had our differences, but they were good guys. I will not say anything contrary to that. But at the same time, like, yeah, some of their guys did hunt us. They came up, run some fleets, but that's how it works.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because there's a few people that I could. Yeah. I've said on stream, but I'm not gonna say here.
Yeah, probably best because we're trying to
be professional-ish. But yeah,
Professional and keep it brief because
yeah,
we
we're sitting at 20 minutes. So,
yeah.
uh,
So in the end, we said okay. So these four aren't really groups that we want to join. Then we ran into the same issue with Black Rose when Roa reached out. They're very small. They are acting pretty much as a meat shield for another group. And we didn't want to put anyone through that. Again, the whole forcing PvP on everyone. So Roa and I were looking and we went, okay, so who's left? And it was Goons. And while I hold nothing against Goons or Matani or any of those guys, at the same time, I knew there was going to be a lot of people who, despite the fact that it would be good and safe space and people could play the game how they wanted again, people were immediately just going to go Goons and say no. So Roa and I were looking and we said, okay, well, what about initiative? So Roa reached out on a alt so that it wasn't like signaled and saying, okay, this is who we are in case it ever leaked. And the CEO was honestly, he was the most helpful out of anyone we reached to. He was constantly messaging us. He's EU, and we would message him with a question in the middle of his, like at 12:30 at night for him. And he would take at most 10 minutes to respond to us, maybe half an hour on the rare occasion. But he was helpful. He let Roa put a character in his corp, in the corp he has, which is like the main one of the holding corps, and allowed him to fly around to look at what was going on, to see how quiet it was, to see the PvP opportunities. And we decided, first Roa and myself, and then the rest of the leadership decided that this was going to be the best decision for us, where we could once again have everybody have the fun for hour that they wanted, not just the PvP guys.
so I think at that point you guys brought it to us.
Yeah, and then it was
Once
so once Roa and I got the numbers, looked at it, and said, okay, this is the best offer we've got, and then we brought it to the leaderships, or the Reds as I like to call them, and then we said, what do you guys think?
essentially the other CEOs that aren't Roa alts, like immediate Roa alts.
I think I am like the true.
You are the true Roa alt.
Me and Drax are the only true actual Roa alts,
Roa
but that
just
is neither here nor there. So we brought it to leadership and said, okay, here's our options. What do you guys think? And you guys, we discussed it for 4 or 5 days. We talked about the issues that could happen. The 1 second, I got to mute.
uh yeah. He's got a mute. Probably talking to Roa.
No, Roa's going to pick up my sister. I've been sick for the past couple days, so I had to cough.
Ah. No wonder
So,
you sound like worse shit than normal.
oh yeah,
Gotcha.
I haven't been sleeping very well either with all of this.
Dude, you don't sleep. Don't lie.
True. Anyways, so we brought it to you guys, and then it was at that point where we said, okay, here's what we're thinking. What do you guys think? And then you guys started talking about, okay, what's the pros, what's the cons? What would the player loss look like versus leaving versus staying? What going to what group? What are other issues that might come up? And then it's at that point where we brought it to the task leaders, or as they're called in our Discord, directors. They're the dark blues. And we said, okay, here's what we six have agreed to. Poke holes in it. Now, there were a couple people who didn't agree with it. Alana's still on the fence. Kaminar was on the fence at the time, and he eventually came around. But most of the other guys were on board and said, okay, this is what and we were lucky. We had Lovon Pepper, I am Pepper Cecile, who had been previously in Imperium, in part of Goons and part of TNT. So he knew how initiative worked and what had a bit of a know-how of Imperium. So he was able to offer a perspective that we didn't have, which was quite handy. And from there, we brought it to the high sec guys, who didn't have a problem with it because nothing for the high sec was changing other than the fact that we're not with Brave United. And really, Brave United didn't do overly much for us other than the fact that it was an alliance that we couldn't be war decked in. They never truly really backed us up when we had issues. Like, sure, there was a little bit when we were in Conid fighting Darwinism, but that was mainly Brave Null, not Brave Highsec. So they wouldn't really be changing very much. And then the FCs, because, well, yes, we're going to Crablands. We understand that people enjoy the PvP. So we wanted them on board so that when the time came for the PvP guys to say, hey, have you thought about us? We can say yes. And the FCs have come up with plans that when we move, this is what they're going to do. And then most of them were on board. And now, granted, we only have like 4 or 5 of them, so there wasn't very many to get on board in the first place. But after that, we called the Corp meeting, and that is where we are now. We brought it to everyone else, and we said, here's our options. We think this one is the best, which is initiative. We did a blind vote of here's the numbers, but we didn't give anybody names because we didn't want people to go, oh, well, I prefer these guys. We wanted people to see the numbers for what they were and the offer for the numbers, not for, oh, these guys are initiative. So I'm just going to instinctively say no without giving it a chance. Because even during the war, I have always been, it's a game. They're on the other side of the game. They play the game just like we do. I never ascribe to the whole goons. Goons are the bad guys. It's just a game. They're on one side, we're on the other. That's part of how it goes. And so I held no ill feelings towards Matani or the goons. So we said we suggest we give it a shot. And overwhelmingly, I was actually quite surprised at the overwhelming positive feedback that we got. I was expecting more people to not
hate it. Yeah.
to just for the simple fact that it's Imperium to say, yeah, no, not happening. We're leaving. And that's pretty much where we are now. I don't know, Marie, if there's anything else you wanted me to go over for the recap.
No, I think that's pretty much it. We just wanted to do something to make sure that we did what's best for Corp in the long run, and that's kind of it. If you have any questions, I'll be around. I know I'm almost always available. Nite is normally always available.
Anyone in leadership, just reach out to them, send them a message in Discord.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't answer the question, they'll send it to us up in the blues and the reds. Directors, they know all of the planning. The Reds know the planning. Rowan and I know the planning. Reach out to any of us, and we'll assuage. I believe that's the proper words. Assuage, maybe. Any fears? We'll lessen the stress people are feeling. Yeah, a bet is another word. I'll have to actually look that up after. But we'll try to lessen your worries about what's coming and where we're going. But yeah, reach out to us if you have any concerns. That's why we're here.
And also, one thing before I forget to mention it, Mayhem Auth is now required, full Mayhem Auth. So we don't use Brave Core anymore as of right now. We are not using Brave Core for anything. So don't add your tunes to Brave Core. Like if you're making an alt, put it on Mayhem Auth. And make sure all of your tunes are in Mayhem Auth. If you need any help, I know I'll be around, Ethan will be around, Rose around, Nite, I'm not sure how familiar with it, but you're around and you know at least some of that stuff. So we'll be able to get you in and make sure everything's fine and dandy. We'll be doing a public channel purge. Once we get into initiative, I will purge all of the public channel. And we're purging a lot of people just so that way we're starting clean with active people.
Well, the public channel is currently clear.
Oh, that's right. I already purged it.
There's maybe like 7 people.
That's all right. I purged it. Never mind.
Purged it like last week.
You can tell how long it's been. But yeah, so Mayhem Auth is now required. We'll be getting applications set up through there. And so if you are watching this and you do want to join, we are pausing recruitment for now until we get into initiative and we get everything set up.
Which will probably be about 2-3 weeks at most.
Yeah,
So
I'd
if you
say
can wait
maybe a
that
week and a
long,
half.
if you can wait that long and are still interested in joining us,
Reach out to me.
reach out to Marie. Hang out in the Discord public channel. We have a public channel in game.
Mm-hmm. Public channel in game, public channel in our Discord, discord.gg/mayhem, Mayem, not mayhem. Speaking of which, my vanity plate is coming in soon for my new car, so I'm gonna have Mayem as my tag.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's gonna be great. I gotta take pictures of it when it comes in. But yeah, so that is the only other thing that I had. Our comms will be Discord comms until we get something figured out. Probably going to stay Discord comms until we join Initiative, and we'll set up with whatever they have.
It'll be Mumble.
Mumble,
They
cool.
use
We don't
Mumble
have to change much of anything.
for their voice comms, and they use Discord for their pings.
Prefix.
Pings in general chat.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
We're not having to download an auth for a whole other program.
Yeah, and don't quote me on this. I am hoping I'm going to work with Ethan. I know Ethan's got a lot on his plate, and I don't want to promise him away. We're going to try. I'm going to work with Init's auth guys and see if we can get our auth to mirror theirs. So, like, whenever you put something in our auth, it mirrors to theirs, so you don't have to do it in two places. But don't quote me on it because I don't know if it's possible, and I don't want to promise Ethan away because I'm going to be working on it too, and I don't know if it'll work. But that's what I'm going to try. Since we do use the same auth structure, we might be able to pull it off.
And if not, well, you were already applying on two things already.
Yeah, it doesn't change the process very much. No. So other than that, are you good? You good, Nite?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, I'm good over here. I'm going to go edit this up and get this out to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been just over 30 minutes. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to any in leadership or any directors or human resources. We'll make sure we get you squared away. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have and about your fears. So, with that said, thank you guys for watching. Check us out Thursdays, twitch.tv/industrial mining and mayhem or discord.gg/mayhem. Love you guys. Peace.